So I've been collecting watches for over 15 years and I've made a lot of mistakes, some worse than others. What's going on, guys? My name is Anthony and this is Watch With Me. Today we're going over watches I should never have purchased or I regret buying. First and foremost, I just want to say that every watch I've purchased, I learned something from it and it's helped me grow and decide and figure out what I like in watches. So that being said, each watch is not a complete loss why I purchased it, but I'm just going to go ahead and list them all for you and go over why I think I shouldn't have bought it or why I regret it. Before we get into that, a wristwatch check. Today I am wearing my Rolex Submariner. It's actually from 1987. It's my newest purchase to me. I purchased this just over a year ago. I haven't purchased a watch in a while. Maybe we'll have to change that and I'll be doing a review of my next watch soon. Enough of that, let's get into my list. So as I stated, I've been collecting watches for quite some time now, well over 15 years. Before I purchased my first luxury watch, I would get rid of the 20 crap watches I had before that. And I don't mean to say they're crap, but they are. They were Invictus, they were watches off Shop NBC. There wasn't much substance to it. I was just buying it based on the aesthetics. But like I said, it helped me kind of figure out my style and what I really like. But I would have gotten rid of all of those. I made probably 30 cents on the dollar on each one of those when I decided to sell it. So a lot of wasted money because I didn't have an amazing platform back then like blogs or YouTube or Instagram to really dive into this hobby and learn a lot from it. Now, my first luxury watch purchase was a Breitling Super Avenger. This watch was 48 millimeters. It was all high polish. I had to buy the white dial version so it could look even blingier on my wrist. Now, keep in mind, I have a very small wrist. Wearing a 48 millimeter watch says a lot about a person, not in the best way. I was young and I just wanted something very blingy and flashy. I did like that it had a Valjoux 7750. It was an automatic movement, aka the Breitling Caliber 13. It was a certified chronometer, meaning that Breitling disassembled the movement and reassembled it and fixed different parts on it to make sure it was a certified chronometer. So I did appreciate the movement, but the aesthetics of it were just awful. Back when I purchased it, this watch was valued at $4,500. I believe it's just around the $6,000 mark now. If you like it, that's fine. Going back to when I first purchased it and thinking about it now, what an awful watch. It is so not me. I wear watches that are even 34 millimeters now, but it's kind of fun to see the progression of where I went since then. I ended up selling it for just over $3,000, and I'm pretty sure that's actually close to what I paid for it back then, but it has to be on my list as a watch I regret buying, and it was the first luxury watch I ever purchased. Number two, and I apologize if you hear the ice cream man, it is nice out, and what better way to spread a disease? Not funny, all kidding aside. The second watch would be, I had an Omega Planet Ocean. Now, this was the first time they went with an in-house. It was an in-house caliber 8500 movement. I was so stoked to finally own an in-house movement. This had the caliber 8500 movement. It was a 60-hour power reserve. It had a ceramic bezel, an exhibition case back. Honestly, an awesome watch that I still like today, but I went with the 45.5 millimeter version. Again, it was just a very big watch on my small wrist. It was super thick. Most Planet Oceans are, but my good friend owns a 42 millimeter version, and I think it wears so much better than mine did. I really think if I went with a smaller version, I might have kept it, but after I purchased it, it wasn't that much longer until I realized that the watch was just too big for me and I decided to get rid of it. It was around $6,000. I got a decent deal on it. I didn't lose too much on it when I decided to sell it, but nonetheless, it is a watch I regret. You can see this trend that I'm going through. When I first started buying watches, I wanted the bigger, flashier watches, and as my taste began to kind of develop and I refined my palette for watchmaking and really understood what I really like, I started to go towards smaller watches and get rid of that. The next watch was my first Rolex, and that is a Rolex Datejust 41. It had a fluted white gold bezel on the oyster bracelet, and it had the Arabic numerals in kind of that blue lume. I thought that this watch was so cool. Again, it was my first Rolex purchase. I was so excited for it, and you know what? I didn't do enough research on it. I just had the money to buy, It was $9,100 brand new, and I just went for it. And I can honestly say this was one of the fastest turnarounds I've ever had on a watch. I think I only had it for around 6 months, and I just said, you know what, this watch is not for me. It didn't fit my style, it didn't look good on my wrist, and I just wasn't crazy about the watch. The good thing about Rolex, I was able to sell it. I didn't lose any money on it because I got a decent deal on it. Again, this was a long time ago, back when you can get a deal on a Rolex, but I didn't lose much on it. But you know what? The Datejust for me, just not a watch I like. It's not my style. Definitely regret buying that. One of the last on my list is actually a very cool watch, but it is the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore, the Panda dial, before they went with the ceramic pushers and the exhibition case back. When I bought this watch, it was by far the most expensive watch I ever purchased. It was $27,000. I bought it brand new and I paid $20,000. $20,000 on a watch. I couldn't believe what I was doing. I bought it, I wore it for 2 months, and the watch broke. I had to bring it into an Audemars Piguet boutique and send it out for repair. It took 2 months, and quickly getting it back, I realized, you know what, this is a cool watch, but I can't have this much money tied up into this watch, and I had to get rid of it. I wanted to move it quickly, and I sold it for $15,000, and to this day, it is the only watch I took a bath on. I lost $5,000 on this watch in a matter of 6 months, and that's why I think it's so important not to rush into something and really do your research on it, because you can lose so much money if you buy the wrong watch for the wrong reasons and you don't truly love it. I do kind of miss that watch still, but you know what, looking back, even brand new at $20,000 is a lot of money for this watch. You can pick these watch up in the mid-teens, you know, 15,000 or so, and that's what I ended up selling for. That's what they're worth now. I will have an AP again, but this watch, definitely brand new for me. It's a no-go, and I absolutely regretted it. And by far my biggest regret, because this thing was disgusting, was an 18-karat gold Breitling Transocean Unitime on a black crocodile strap with a gold deploying buckle. It was rose gold. This watch was 46 millimeters, so not the biggest watch I've ever owned, but these lugs were so long, it wore awful, absolutely awful on my wrist. As soon as I bought this watch and I put it on my wrist afterwards, I thought, what the hell did I do? I sold my AP and ended up buying a gold Breitling Transocean Unitime. This watch was $31,500, a crazy amount of money. Thank God I worked for the company. I'll let you think about that one a little bit in regards to what I paid. But you know what? I had this watch for a decent amount of time and I ended up getting rid of it. And then I transitioned into my Patek Philippe 5711. You know what? I would say I regret buying this watch as well, but I made a lot of money on it. I only regret it because I bought it based on what everyone was saying, even back, you know, 5 or 6 years ago before it was a big to-do. I bought it based on what friends were saying, and you know what? I liked it. I had it for 4 years, but it didn't seem like much to me, and that's why I got rid of it. But that is it, guys. That is the list of all the watches that I bought that I regret. I would love to know. Leave a comment down below. What are some watches you wish you never purchased? It would be a fun conversation to have. But that being said, everything I've ever bought, everything I've ever owned was a learning experience, and getting to spend a bit more time with each one of these watches helps to refine your taste on watchmaking. And there is no right or wrong way. All these watches I regret for my own personal reasons, my own personal preference, and that's it. So that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take it easy.